welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm going to be doing makeup on one of my friends. Everyone, this is Estella. We went to a couple different stores. We went to Target, we went to Ulta, we also hit up the mall, walked into Sephora and looked around a little bit. She had asked me to help her pick out some makeup, something more of like everyday look. If you guys are familiar with my Instagram and you've like checked out my Facebook page, you've probably seen her before. She likes the way like her skin finished and everything, so I just like helped her pick out a few things to incorporate in an everyday look. Decided to film it, and it would probably help anyone that isn't really like too much into makeup, want an everyday look, and instead of doing an everyday look on me, I figured why not do it on a different person, but kind of explain what I'm doing as I'm going. So, are you ready? Here is just an overview of all the stuff that we ended up getting. I'm going to start off with a primer, and we're going to be using e.l.f.'s Hydrating Face Primer. This is good for colder weather. She does have mainly combo skin where it's like drier in most areas and oily in other areas, but this primer worked really well on her face when we used it, and I'm just going to mainly work around her nose and the areas that have like the most visible pores. So on the chin and the forehead, T-zone area. And then I'm going to go in with e.l.f.'s Cover Up Everything Concealer. This one is in the shade Corrective Yellow. This is more of a yellow tone, and that helps cancel out any dark blues and purple areas. I'm using my ring finger. It's best to use that finger because it applies the least amount of pressure, and the under eyes are super delicate, so you don't want to be pulling and tugging the under eye. I have another Cover Up concealer. This one's in the shade Medium. This concealer I'm mainly using to cover up any dark spots or any like acne spots that she has, anything to cover up, which she really doesn't have much to cover up, but whatever areas you do have that you feel like you need to kind of hide a little bit more, then use. Taking e.l.f.'s powder brush and L'Oreal True Match and Lumi, and this one is in the shade N7 to 8 Classic Tan. What I like to do is just squirt some on the back of my hand, get the product on the back of my hand, like do about 2 squirts, and then just start distributing it evenly around your face. I like to start underneath the eyes first. Go down the nose. Get a little bit on the forehead. Chin. Above the lip. And then whatever excess you have, kind of put some product on the brush. Start blending and evenly distributing it. Squirt. Make sure that you do blend the foundation down to your neckline so it all blends evenly. So that is all complete. I'm just going to take the sponge from Real Technique and just start dabbing it. It's going to be a damp sponge. And just start dabbing it around the face to kind of make sure that all the foundation blends properly, and it also helps give it a really pretty airbrush finish. Brows, I'm going to start off with Sonia Kashuk's Tinted Brow Gel. From on the back of the brow, sweep it forward. I'm not going to go all the way over into the base of the brow, just so you can get that gradient effect. The Tinted Brow Gel kind of sets all the hairs in place, and it also covers up any bald, sparse spots that you might have. NYC's Brow Pencil, and this one is in dark brown. I'm pretty much going to be using the same techniques that I used in my last updated brow routine, so if you haven't seen that, I can link that down below as well. But I pretty much use the same exact technique that I'm going to be working with when I do her brows. I'm just going to line her brow. Same as I did for the brow gel. I'm not really going to be focusing mainly on any of the beginning, like the base of the brow, just more towards the middle and the tail. And I'm just lining her brow shape. And whatever areas that the brow gel didn't fill in, I'm just going to be filling it in with the brow pencil. It's just going to be light strokes. To set the brow, I'm going to be using the Ultimate Brow Kit by Wet n Wild. So I'm going to take the brush that it comes with and just dip into this lighter brown shade. Start from the back and bring it forward. And again, this will also help any sparse, bald spotted areas and will set the brow pencil so it doesn't smear and get all over the place. Last thing we need is doing this in her brow. Walking around, don't know you ain't got one brow on. And you don't know what's gonna tell you either, you know? Like,
man, that would be bad.
and you look all cute. Wait, what?
Wait,
I got one brow on.
Way to be paranoid now.
Yeah, you gotta be. Setting them brown. Once all that is completed, we're just going to take a spoolie, blend all the product together and blend some of it out. Start at the beginning and kind of brush up to kind of get some product in this area, but it's not going to get much of it because we're you know, definitely going for that gradient effect. Brush up, let it start blending together, and then start brushing over. And that right there, you can just tell, like, it just blends all of the brow together and doesn't make it look so harsh. Where it stopped at, but as you can see here, I filled in her brows, and since we're going for a more everyday type look, I'm not going to be cleaning it up with concealer because that's just too extra. We're just gonna make it more of a simpler look. So of course I like using Q-tips to clean up the brow. I still do it myself. I'm just gonna start underneath any excess underneath the brow that might just be hanging out. Kind of just clean that up. So immediately you see that it does pick up all that is left underneath that. And then do the same for the top, just kind of line it and clean up any areas. So like you over cleaned the spot and it kind of made it the shape look weird. You can just go back in and kind of lightly put the powder, and then that will fill up any area. I'm going to be using e.l.f.'s HD Lifting Concealer, and this one is in the shade Medium, and we're going to use this to highlight and kind of brighten up her under eye. Just going to apply this underneath, and this will be in more of a triangle shape. Up into her forehead, bow, her chin. I'm going to go back in with this sponge and lightly blend all that into her skin. I can bring the product to the back of her cheek, so it kind of gives the higher cheekbone area a really nice highlight, and you can definitely set that with powder. Go back into her under eye last and one more time and just kind of make sure that I blend out any of the creasing underneath her eye, because we're going to immediately set the under eyes, just so you don't have to worry about the crease. Dipping into the NYX Contour and Highlight Palette, dipping into the Banana Powder shade, tap off excess, and then just start setting her under eyes. You can also start setting all the areas that you highlighted on your face. I'm going to be going in with L'Oreal True Match. This one is in the shade N6 Honey Beige. Going back with the powder brush and just going to be setting her face. I'm not smearing, I'm just lightly tapping the rest of the areas that I put foundation on, so I won't be really going underneath her eyes and on the other highlight areas because we've already set that with a powder. Make sure that you do bring it down in the neck, since you blended the foundation down the neck as well. We're going to start with contouring, and she has really defined cheekbone. She's the type that doesn't want it to pop out extremely, because it already does. Her cheekbones are perfect. I'm going to do light contour on the cheekbone area. Going in with the NYX palette, I'm going to hit this lighter shade right here. Tap off the excess. This brush, because it's just a regular powder brush, but I'm going to pinch it together to kind of make it form in her hollow. Her cheek. I'm going to start right where the hollow is, which on her you can really see since it's defined. Lightly just contour the hollow. And when I contour, I'm not going to go all the way down because that's just going to make it really defined. I'm just going to stay up in this area. When you blend this, you're going to want to blend it up. You're not going to want to blend it down, since you are creating depth and dimension in the cheekbone. If you blend it down, it's just going to make one big dark blob, and that ain't cute. For her forehead, I'm just going to contour each side closer to her temple area. Just going to chisel her jawline and kind of lightly go underneath her jawline just to make it a little defined. I'm going to be highlighting. I'm going to be dipping into this highlighting shade. It's a really pretty golden shimmer, and this will complement her skin tone really well, since she's more of a tan complexion. If you use this really pearly shade, this is going to make it look a little ashy, and we don't want it. I'm going to go down her nose, Cupid's bow, just a little bit on the tip of her chin, and then her cheekbones. The contour is right here, and this is what we pretty much contoured. We're going to hit above that contour. So you're just going to sweep the highlight above that to make the cheekbones pop. I'm going to do a little bit of nose contour. I'm going to go into this cool tone shade right here, this part of the nose, and just work your way up. And it's just very light strokes and a very light contour. For the eyes, we're going to start off with the Urban Decay Eye Primer. Little dot on my finger. We'll kind of just mix it together and then apply it on both eyes. So I'm just going to be dabbing around the eyelid and then bringing it up. I'm going to go into this NYX Love in Paris palette. I'm going to start with this shade right here and use this to highlight her brow bone. And then whatever excess is on the brush, you can kind of use that to like clean up above the brow. And kind of highlight that area as well, kind of blend it out with your finger so it's not super harsh. And do the same for the other eye. Blending brush, dip into this middle light brown matte shade and use that as a transition. So we're just going to mainly work around the crease and right below the brow highlight. And this shade will help transition the colors that are going to be on the lid, and then if you're going to give your eye a little bit of depth, then that will help transition that shade and that color as well. So it kind of just pretty much like brings the whole look together. We're going to dip into this shade right here and apply that on the lid. This would be good for an everyday look. So that we just used 3 shadows. I used this one right here. Hopefully you got that. But I'm gonna here, turn this way. So what I did was put some dimension into her outer V, and I used this matte black shade, and I'm just going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to work around the outer V of her lid, kind of bring it down to the outer part of her lash line, and then just start blending it up. Taking the next shade, the shade next to the one I put on her eyelid, we're going to be using this shade to kind of smudge out the bottom one. But if you're going for a more darker, smoky look, this shade would be pretty. Alright. Pick up either that shade or this shade, and then highlight the inner corners. For the lip, I'm using a Rimmel lip liner, and this one is in the shade Epic 45. I'm going to seal the final look with the e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Set. Here's the final everyday look. Alright ladies, so there you have it. Here is the final everyday look using my awesome model. Thank you so much for letting me do your makeup. If you guys enjoyed this video, just like this video, and if you have any questions about any of the products I've used, then just comment down below and let me know what's up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it. I will also list my Twitter, my Facebook page, my Instagram, and my vlogging channel around this area, so definitely go check it out. And I'll also have the links down below as well. Thank you so much for watching, ladies, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!